Hi, this is Tony Cottaspati, and welcome to Great Vocal Majority. I'm here today to talk about members of Congress, some of the men and some of the women who are part of the solution, and some who are, quite frankly, part of the problem. And the one person I want to focus on in this particular video is this gentleman, Congressman Hank Johnson, a Democrat from Georgia, who is most definitely part of the problem. And I'll highlight a few videos here to explain exactly why I'm saying that. But first, I really would like to talk a little bit about Representative Johnson. You see, Hank Johnson is the kind of politician a Hollywood movie scriptwriter would never include in a story, because nobody would ever believe that anyone like him could rise to the position of a congressman. And while it may seem to you to be perhaps a little gratuitously unkind to Congressman Johnson, he's made some jaw-droppingly idiotic remarks. Comments that are so shockingly ignorant. And this video is going to show you, it's going to chronicle some of Congressman Johnson's comments, his greatest hits, as it were. But rather than laughing at the congressman, I think the question that people need to really be asking is, how does a guy like this get elected? I mean that in all seriousness, because when you hear what this gentleman has said in the past, some of it is going to shock you. Seriously shock you. I mean, you may even stop and think, well, maybe he really wasn't serious when he said it, because it's that bad. But I want you to understand that this is a guy who gets elected and reelected. And who's doing that? Who is electing a guy like this? And, once you see that, you'll understand what the state of our politics is in this country right now.
This is a island that at its widest level is, 12 miles from shore to shore, and at its smallest level, or smallest...
I think you mean narrowest.
Location, it's 7 miles between one shore and the other. Is that correct?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but to your point, sir, I think Guam is a small island.
Very small island, and about 24 miles, if I recall, long. So 24 miles long, about 7 miles wide at the least widest place on the island, and about 12 miles wide on the widest part of the island. And I don't know how many square miles that is. Do you happen to know?
I don't have that figure with me, sir. I can certainly supply it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, my fear is that the whole island will become so overly populated that it will tip over and capsize.
Yeah, you heard that right. A sitting congressman said an island might capsize due to overpopulation. Now, some people later tried to say that Hank Johnson was on medication and he was just a little fuzzy in his thinking, and other people tried to say that, well, what he was really getting at was the environmental impact of having so many military people stationed on Guam. But you heard what he said. Judge for yourself. Does he sound like he's making a joke? Doesn't sound like he's making a joke to me. Now, if you think that Congressman Johnson was really going after the hard-hitting issues by worrying about whether or not Guam would capsize, maybe you should think about what he had to say here in this speech in the House. I guess it's special orders late at night, something that he said.
This bill, which shows that this Tea Party Congress will make the tough choice to keep children's birthday parties on schedule and give industries that rely on helium the lift that they deserve. Imagine, Mr. Speaker, a world without balloons.
Yeah, he said that. Imagine a world without balloons. Going after the tough issues. This is what we need in Congress. We need guys like this to go after helium balloons. Helium balloons.
How can we make sure that the injustice of there being no helium for comedians?
No helium for comedians. I mean, come on, guys. Come on. This is Stone Mountain, Georgia.
To get that high-pitched voice that we all hold near and dear to our hearts. Imagine a world without balloons. Today, the House has chosen to just simply float above it all. And finally, we're going to do something for the American people, and we should all pat ourselves on the back for that.
Can you imagine this? I mean, stop and think about this. This is a man who represents 700,000 Americans. And he is spending time before the Congress to talk about some kind of government subsidy for the helium industry because it might affect helium balloons and comedians who speak in high-pitched voices after they breathe in helium. Is that why this guy was sent to Congress? Seriously? Think about this.
Too often lately, this body has sat deflated. Not for a lack of hot air, mind you, but seriously, ladies and gentlemen, unlike
Seriously. He used the word seriously.
a noble element, this House has failed to act on Americans' real concerns. There are serious reasons to support this bill, and I do look forward to supporting it. Last night I used an analogy that some find offensive. What happens when you put in a cage fight a giant in with a midget? I certainly was not meaning to be offensive or use a derogatory term. You got midgets against giants. I have found that the use of the midget, the midget will not win the fight. I'm going to tell you that. The use of the M word is no longer socially acceptable. You put 30 midgets in with the giant. The M word refers to a group of people, the little people. That's where you put the midgets together. It really refers to a medical condition, dwarfism. The giants take real good care of the midgets as long as the midgets do what the giants want them to do. I have been awakened to the sensitivities involved. Now they're going to crush the midgets. And please know that I will never use that term again. Midgets get a chance to speak with one voice. I'll never use that term again. And the midgets then have a chance collectively. If you want to find out more about little people or abnormally small people or unusually small people, to speak eye to eye with The midgets, there's a website, there's a group actually called the Little People of America. The midgets get together to try to get as strong as they can.
There are those who are deeply offended by it, and that we should all learn what to say so as not to offend people.
Then the midgets have a chance. That's correct. It's a learning moment for me and perhaps many others out there.
I think it is indeed a learning moment for Americans. It's a learning moment to understand who exactly is your representatives in Congress. But it goes further with Hank Johnson, because just recently he said that if the Republicans cut the budget the way they're expecting to cut, they're going to cut it, that you can look forward to riots of the have-nots. He's actually saying that, and by saying it, he is going to bring it on, rioting because of budget cuts.